and Fulton coming to you on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us after a fun, exciting, long Sunflower Showdown yesterday at, I think we can all agree, the Octagon of Doom is back at Bramlage Coliseum, courtesy of one Jerome Tang. Lots to discuss today. Lots of it. We will get to plenty of the actual game, which had its pluses and minuses. We will talk about, as Jerome Tang referenced in his post game, that dumb chant. We will get to that. We're going to talk a little AFC, NFC divisional round, a little weaknesses. We'll get to that. We'll hear from Steve Spagnuolo, Eric Bieniemy. They're meeting with the media today. Not sure what players are yet. They're speaking as I am speaking right now. We'll get to that coming up. Kellis Robinett will join us. We'll get to a lot here today on this edition of Mic'd Up. Hit us up. Let us know your thoughts. I know a bunch of you watched it yesterday. Let me know your takeaway from the 298th edition of the Sunflower Showdown. Big O Tires text line, let us know. 785-272-9429. Very simple. It is so easy. Save it in your phone. It's really easy if you save it as 580. Then it's up near the top, near the numbers section. Very simple. Very easy. And let us know what you thought of yesterday's game. I'm not going to talk about the big elephant in the room, because that takes away from what those student athletes did yesterday on both sides, because it was a fantastic game. And I think this game will be remembered by a lot of reasons. One, it's Jerome Tang's very first game. Frank Martin's very first game was the Michael Beasley game. In this game, either way, you're going to remember this one as the Jalen Wilson game, as he dropped 38, or you're going to remember this one as the alley-oop dunk by Keontae Johnson, because I never saw that coming.
No, I didn't either. And
not even close.
Well, and afterwards, and CJ Moore, a friend of the program in The Athletic, kind of wrote a little recap afterwards, and he talked to Jerome Tang about it. That was the secondary part of the play they called, was depending on how Jalen played it, Keontae had the option to spin and roll. And apparently in the huddle, Keontae told Marquise, hey, he's been overplaying. It's going to be there. Be ready. That is a ballsy play call.
But that is also a high basketball IQ.
That is a massively intelligent play call.
And knowing your opponent, because he was 100% correct. Jalen Wilson was going to try to go for the steal or deny him the ball.
The job was, try and deny in the post, because they knew that they were going to try and post up Keontae Johnson. And I will give Jerome Tang and Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel for the execution of the pass incredible credit of, all right, you want to play the tendency? We're going to draw something to play off of you playing the tendency.
Yeah.
And I'll give Jalen Wilson credit for after the game, be like, hey, I know better. I know better than I shouldn't have been overplaying it that hard. I should just let him catch it in the post. Jalen's like, that's my fault. I should have been smarter.
And they did it 2 seconds into the play. Like, normally because they could have taken the final shot of the game almost.
Yeah.
And instead,
it was just, it's there. We're taking it. We're getting a lead.
It's there. And so the game was exciting. It was fun. And the way I look at this, and this is all a credit to the players buying into Jerome Tang and what he is doing, because we talked about this yesterday, all the close games that KU wins in this series. This was a very KU K-State game when K-State has players. The last 4 years, K-State's gotten, they haven't had as many dudes, obviously, They had one guy, Nigel Pack, and even then, a 16-point lead was not good enough. But KU, what did they do? Close game. They found a way to win. Here are the KU K-State games in which it came down to the last possession. 2017, 90-88 KU. 74-71 KU. 73-72 KU. 62-58 KU. 78-75 KU. The last close games that have been played have been won by KU. Last 5. Except last night. Last night was a vintage. It's always going to be a close game at Bramlage. But KU always finds a way to win. They make the play, or K-State doesn't make the play. That is what happened in these games. And, for the most part, 1 out of every 6 at the field house, it is an absolute bloodbath, and KU destroys K-State. But at Bramlage, it's different. At Bramlage, K-State plays KU much tougher, and those scores, 17, 18, 20, 22, at Bramlage, K-State has found a way to make it close, but they never get it done. At the end of the game this year, K-State is different. K-State is 6-0 this year when it comes down to essentially the last minute of the game. The losses they've had, they got scorched by TCU, and against Butler, way back when, they really weren't in the game as much in that one. But they're 6-0 and they're making the play. It's not like they're crapping down their leg. They're not. Ish Massoud hitting an open 3 against Baylor, scoring 116. Now I know that's not even including the 6-0 games because they beat Texas by 13. But the West Virginia game, the Oklahoma State game, the KU game, the Baylor game, these are close games in which normally K-State doesn't close out. Just the K-State's men's basketball program under Bruce Weber. Now, in 1 year, they are 6-0. And K-State was the one that didn't even allow KU to even have a chance. Naquan Tomlin stripping it away, and it almost was a disaster for KU. That's normally the other way around. And that's a credit to Kansas State. It's a credit to Jerome Tang. And this game had this thing was played to the exact tee for KU to come away with the victory this year. K-State uses the energy and the crowd, gets out to a big lead. KU comes back. With 8 minutes to go, KU takes the lead. K-State doesn't have a field goal or a point for about 3 minutes. That's normally when K-State goes into a shell. Oh, man, we gave it our all. We can't do it for 40 minutes. Not this time. K-State bounces back. They find a way. KU retakes the lead at the end of the game with some free throws. K-State fights back. This team, we talk a lot about feels. It feels different. And you didn't expect this to happen right now with Kansas State. But that was great. That was great to see if you're a K-State fan when it comes to this new group of guys. They're gelling already together. The confidence that they're playing with. You don't go out and you buy confidence at Dillon's, And if you do, I wouldn't even know what aisle that would be under.
Probably spices.
Spices?
Probably spices.
I don't know. Would that be under baking?
No, it's a seasoning. Yeah, a little confidence to the dish.
Okay, it's like paprika. Okay. Well,
sure.
You don't do that.
No.
Who's the spice? It's the head coach. He's made everything different. And for K-State fans, we said that Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson are going to have to combine for about 40.
And we said, though, if they don't, someone else has to contribute. Some other person, if you can't get Noel and Johnson to lead the way, a third guy has to step up.
Did not think Desi Sills would look like Sharon Collins.
Good Lord,
in this
Desi
game.
Sills, unconscious.
24 on 11 attempts. He shot the ball 11 times from the field and had 24 points. Went 8 of 9 at the foul line, 2 of 3 from deep. That is one of the most efficient games that you will ever see, is 24 points on 11 field goal attempts in a box score. That was outstanding. And look at that. Desi Sills combined with Keontae Johnson to put up 48. That is enough to beat KU. Marquise Noel did not play well. He did not play well at all, but he did stuff other ways. I thought defensively he played well. I thought offensively he dished out assists. He had 7 assists, 4 steals, 4 rebounds. Naquan Tomlin was just good enough in this game, and that was great. This was more about K-State to me, this game, than it was about KU. I really do think that. And the game was there were a lot of fouls called. And I'm seeing a lot of, oh gosh, look at the fouls. Holy cow. Oh, it's terrible. It takes forever. Oh my God. If you're upset with the fouls and everything in that game, then just stop watching college basketball.
That's what college basketball is.
And if you can't just enjoy a game that had so many hold your breath moments in that one, and you still go back to, oh gosh, it's just the last 2 minutes took forever. Well, then you just don't watch it. Stop complaining.
I've seen a lot of people
stop complaining.
I've seen a lot of people put it this way, and I agree with it being framed this way. A lot of y'all say you love college basketball and hate it when a college basketball game breaks out. Like, I love college hoops. It is my preferred game to watch. I don't have any specific reasons for it. I just do. I just love college basketball. That type of game right there was heaven and joy. Like, that was pure. That was a fantastic game. And yes,
how many
they were fouls called?
But how many big plays were on in that game? I mean, you hold your breath moments, even when the plays that didn't even count. Bill Self calling a timeout a half second before Jalen Wilson drains the 3. That drama. There was drama in that game yesterday.
Like,
there's so much drama.
People can complain all they want about fouls stopping the game. Were there at times fouls being called that were more fancy, more ticky-tack? Of course. Officials are human. It's what they do. It also affected both sides. I'm going to get in front of that right here, right now. Both sides benefited and were hurt by ticky-tack calls on both. There's a reason KU had 3 players foul out. A good chunk of their fouls were real. A couple of the ones on them, though, were not real fouls. Keontae Johnson was close to fouling out. He had more than a few on him that did not exist. But that's the nature of college basketball. That's how it goes. And yet, with all that in mind, we still got a game with drama, with stakes, with possessions coming down to the final shot. Like, you're just finding stuff to complain about at that point, in my opinion. You are finding something to complain about. I will say, I do want to get this while we're on official. We have a text from the 316. It just couldn't figure out why they stopped the game when Wilson was hurt, but he didn't have to come out of the game. What happened there, the game shouldn't have been stopped, and that's from a KU perspective. The rule, as it is supposed to be enforced, is if a player is hurt but is not in direct way of the action, where he's not in harm's way.
The ball was already on K-State's side.
The game is to continue being played until they become in harm's way. The officials should not have stopped that play. It benefited my team, and I will take that.
You can admit that it was,
it was a horribly way. Yeah. It was no way should that have happened. No, because Jalen was out of the way.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they were stupid. Officials do that.
There were some soft calls here, soft calls there.
That's college basketball, though.
Then that tells me that you're a pessimist, because I look back at that game and I go, wow, an alley-oop dunk to win the game. Then you got a steal. K-State almost stole it and got the layup as time expired. Marquise Noel has a wide open 3 and he clangs it.
I thought for a certainty that shot was going in. But also, if everyone wants to complain about officials, and be like, sometimes the wording with it goes, well, they're taking over the game. I think one of the biggest plays of the game was at the end of regulation. That steal gets generated. Keontae goes down. There is contact. It is clean contact, but contact where the officials could have gotten involved.
And they didn't.
They didn't. They're like, nope, not enough. We're not doing.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought
even then,
yeah.
I don't think people realize enough that free throws can actually create stakes. We complain about them because they stop clocks and they break up flow. But also think about how many of those free throws in that game came in a close one possession game to where any of the misses were dramatic. Yeah. Same thing, like KU and K-State both had misses that altered the mathematical probability of who won.
And that's the one reason why I dislike the Elam ending, is because I like free throws I like to see who can handle the pressure. I like to see if you're going to crumble. 1-and-1, you miss it, opposing team gets the rebound. They're down, you're up by 2. You're up by 2. You miss the front end of the 1-on-1. My team gets the rebound. Not only do we have a chance to tie, we got a chance to win, all because you broke boy at the free throw line, got a little too nervy, and couldn't make a free throw. That's why I like the 1-and-1. I like that. I think that's not a negative to me.
I'm 100% with you.
You might as well just don't watch it.
Free throws have, especially in college basketball, with the 1-on-1 and just college athletes being a bit more easily rattled than professionals, it adds a drama to it.
From the Big O Tires text line, why does he not have to come out? Football has. I don't know why he didn't. I think they screwed that up too. I did.
I have no idea what I personally don't know what the rule is there if the clock stops for you.
I thought you had to come out.
The officials could have screwed that up. Yeah. That has also happened.
The other aspect of it is KU should have had a chance at the end of the game.
They should have.
The still shot shows Masood on the ground
with 2 seconds left. His back is on the baseline.
Back is on the baseline. He throws the ball up in the air. And KU fans are going to complain and whine and cry. And all
Guys,
that.
We got the SFE 80 steps call. Things wash out in the end. Also,
did they miss the call? Yes.
I will.
KU should have had 1.5 seconds left
and try to put up one more shot.
Yes, they should have.
I will also add this.
Make
one of your 30 missed threes and you don't get to that point.
We're going to talk KU real quick. I'm not even worried about this game for KU. This was more about K-State. We'll talk KU coming up next. Sunflower Showdown for KU. KU went 6 of 29 from 3, and you lost in overtime by a single point. You shot 20% from 3 in a game that scored 80 points. The game, whether you like it or not, is about hitting shots, but also hitting the three. The three-pointer is so important in today's game, especially if you shoot a bunch of them. KU doesn't have a Udoka. They don't. They're going to shoot threes. And they're a pretty good three-point shooting team. 37% as a team is pretty good at shooting the three. They went 6 of 29. If you make two more threes, KU wins the game. I mean,
hey, mathematically, you make one, you win the game.
But I'm just like in the flow of.
But things, in the flow of game, make a couple, you win.
You win. I mean, that and McCullough gave you a donut.
McCullough giving you. I have never seen him look just that off.
Yeah, he gave you nothing. Like if you get just a little bit out of McCullough, and you make 1 3 or 2 threes. I mean, they were 17 percentage points away from their average. A lot of people are talking about free throws and all that.
They're right at their free throw average.
They shoot 70% as a team.
And they shot 70% last night.
That's what they are. Like, you're not going to deviate from that. All of a sudden, KU's not going to become a great free throw shooting team.
No.
That point is moot.
What you need is your 37% three-point shooting team to not shoot 15%.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's
simple as that.
KU K-State played well. They had a guy come from nowhere and score. I mean, Noel and Sills kind of cancel out, but no, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, on the KU side of things, they just make a couple more shots from the outside, you win.
My opinion,
nothing
KU
to be worried about.
Has not changed.
No,
has not changed at all. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo. Jake Levon, Fulton Caster with you on this Wednesday. We will get into what Jerome Tang is trying to do. And Jerome Tang is trying to be as diplomatic and as a dad to his fan base and his student section. He's trying to go about eliminating something, but he just hasn't figured out the best way to do it. And he doesn't know if he has to go full right between the eyes because he's trying to be gentle about it. We're going to get to that. He referred to it as the dumb chant. He said that in the postgame.
No, yeah.
In the postgame. We're going to
call it that dumb chant.
That dumb chant. We're going to get to that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. But Chiefs are gearing up for a game on Saturday. That game will be heard on the big 94.5 Country, 2 o'clock pregame coverage, 3:30 kickoff from Arrowhead. Supposed to be around 40, 45 degrees, maybe a chance of rain. That helps the Jags. Helps the Jags a lot. Because
so you think.
You'd think, just because, hey, maybe bad weather can slow down this Chiefs offense right now.
I've also watched Patrick Mahomes throw darts in a blizzard.
Yes. One of the most boss quotes I've ever heard was when Mahomes played the Colts in his very first ever playoff game. It was in that snow.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know, blizzard. Like
that wasn't a blizzard game.
Yeah.
There was the game against Denver where it was damn near a blizzard.
Yeah. And afterwards he goes, man, I realized, oh, wow, I can spin it into anything. And that right there.
Oh, it's chills down your spine.
Woo, I got hot flashes.
I got the vapors.
I was like, oh, it's my quarterback. My quarterback's going, I can spin it in anything. That's like a hooper going, man, I can shoot it in the wind.
Yeah.
My jump shot's not affected. We're good to
it's
go.
It's like if you're a golfer and you drive that baby like 395 into a dead headwind.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, all righty.
I got that club in the bag, huh? Okay.
You're like, all right, let's party.
I remember we might have to try and find that quote. I realized, that even I can spin it into anything.
It's a fun quote.
To quote Terrell Owens, it's my quarterback. It's my quarterback. But we're going to talk more about the divisional round. Eric Bieniemy, Steve Spagnuolo met with the media. Who would you like to hear from first, Fulton? Would you like to hear from Spags and the defense or Bieniemy and the offense?
Yeah, let's go defense first here on this afternoon.
This is what Steve Spagnuolo had to say, and it's interesting. What he had to say was, because someone asked him, well, did you watch the game live? Were you watching the Chargers and the Jags live? Are you watching all of this unfold? And he said there are 2 possessions that were the most important in that entire game. And it makes me wonder how they have done in 2 possessions. We'll get to that as well. But here is what Steve Spagnuolo had to say to the media today.
How much do you really get to put into one team? 4 possible opponents for you. How much do you
I tell you, we concentrated a little bit more on us, some things we thought we needed to work on. And then we looked at, we perused, those 4 teams and put a little bit more of a percentage into the teams we thought we were going to play, and then tried to pull things out that were common, and then worked on those last week. So that's kind of where we spent most of our time.
Steve, when you face a guy like, Doug Peterson and his offense with so much familiarity between both of you,
Do you see anything that's different over the years? You have to look back at tape from 2, 3, 4 years of his offense. Like, how do you kind of go across?
Yeah, listen, Doug's really good, and I think he's done a great job with the players he has. I think it takes that long of a period to figure out what you have, what they can do, and what they can't do. And I think just like we were doing, trying to figure out what our guys could and couldn't do, I think they've done it. So we've kind of just rested upon what the body of work that they've had this year. Haven't dug too deep into, because when I was with the Giants, we played him when he was in Philly, so there was this, and there are some common concepts that people carry, but concentrated mostly on what they've done this year.
Are there any areas on defense where you feel like you've exceeded what you thought you might be able to achieve, when, say, in OTAs or what you're thinking back then, or camp?
I can think of the ones I wanted to be better, quite honestly.
What were some of those?
Well, the red zone, certainly. We've talked about that before. And I'm always a stickler for third down. I mean, overall, we were okay, but I just think that's such a critical down, especially in the playoffs. I would like to be better at third down. And I don't think we had as many turnovers this year as we did a year ago. I thought we would have had more of that with the way we played, but you can never put your finger on that one. I don't remember a lot of dropped interceptions. I can remember a couple in my mind that stick out. The guys would probably be able to tell you which ones they did or didn't get. So maybe those three kind of critical areas. And I thought the pass rushes has gotten better and better. The linebackers kind of evolved, the young corners. I mean, all those things have been pluses.
As far as the pass rush, have you come farther than maybe you thought you would have when the season started?
Well, I mean, I didn't, you know me, I've said this before, I didn't earmark a certain this or certain that. I was just always hopeful that it would get better as the season went on, and I think that happened. So
Where's Jacksonville gotten better?
Well, I tell you what, they do a lot. They're kind of like, way Coach Reed and the guys are here. You're probably not gonna see what they did last week, 2 weeks ago, or whatever. They change it up quite a bit. And so I think they've gotten to the point where their players and Doug, they're so well connected that they can do that in a game plan and change it around. Maybe early in the year, I didn't go back to, it's really halfway through the season you look at now. I'm sure early with the growing pains, it was a little bit different. But to me, it's kind of like the whole playbook is there. They're wide open. And listen, they're that anyway, and we're expecting anything. All fourth down plays, go for it, take chances. We got to be ready for gadgets, anything like that.
You guys have relied a lot on rookies this year, maybe more so than other years. What tells you that guys like George and Trent and Jalen are ready for the game to get?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we preach this a lot. I mean, to us, it's an important game. The speed gets faster. Coach Reed's been talking about that all week. But just play the game that you've been playing. I'll talk with him a lot about the balance between, emotions and the mental part of it. Because when you get out of whack one way or the other, you don't play good football. But we'll be educating them, and hopefully they play their best football, just like we need all of them to down the stretch here.
Did you watch the game Saturday as it happened, the Jags-Chargers game?
In and out, yeah, because we were watching tape and stuff.
We were all watching it, and you're sitting there watching a young quarterback, bad luck, interceptions and all that. When you see that happening, I mean, what was your surprise level that they got down that much and he had such a bad first half and they were able to come back and do it? What's it say about Trevor to be able to get that?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, what the job Doug did, obviously keeping them like that, because it can easily go the other way, especially with a young team in a game like that. And then they kind of chipped their way back, right? They stopped them in the first drive, and then they come right down and score. I'll tell you what I thought was key, and I showed this to the guys this week. I talk about, I think I've said this to everybody here before. To me, the four most important series in the game, first and last of each half. In that game, the last series of the first half for the Chargers defense was a 2-minute. They ended up scoring, right? I thought that was big to get the 7 points at the end of the half, and then they kind of carried them, and it was impressive what they did. I mean, all we're doing here this week is trying to make sure, first of all, it gets that way, and then make sure we don't let them get back.
How much is opposing receiver height and length impacting where you're sending L'Jarius as far as maybe a big receiver?
Well, there's been a little bit. We've talked about that during the week with other teams. They got some big receivers. They all can run. I mean, things we look at is size and how fast, and then we try to look for the matchups and then go from there. But they got a good crew. I mean, I talk a lot about the running back and the quarterback, but you start looking out there at 7, 11, 13 and what they're doing. That's a good group. And we're certainly not overlooking them.
first and last possessions of the half. Chargers get a touchdown to make it 27-7. It's a 3-score game. It's a big deal. And they scored the last points of the game. They got 10 points in the last 3 minutes of the end of the first half and the second half. I now am interested in the Chiefs, what they do at the end of the game and end of the half. Some of it at the end of the game is they're allowing touchdowns, but they're already up. You know, that whole nerve-wracking situation. That's where we talked about it at the end of the game against the Jags. They were up 27-17, and they had an 11-play drive that ended the game. Normally, what happens, you're up by 10, you have it for 3 minutes, and then you punt, and then they go down and score with a minute to go, and then you got to recover the onside kick. You know, like that's what the Chiefs normally do. But in that game, they just ran out the clock 1 by 10. Easy peasy. So I thought that was interesting what he had to say about the end of the game and the most important parts of the defense. That's the end of the half and end of the game. How have the Chiefs been in that, I wonder? Off the top of my head, I think they've been okay. I mean, obviously you're going to be okay when you go 14-3. But that's been especially the end of the half. That's so big, especially for the Chiefs when you get the ball to start the second half, or if not, I think it's even more so that you don't give up a score at the end of the half when they get the football to start the second half. So I think that'll be something that we might have to dig a little deeper on, because if that's something that Spags looks at, what do the Chiefs do in that situation? I thought that was interesting. Eric Bieniemy spoke to the media. Here is what EB had to say.
I wonder if you could take us back to when you guys played Jacksonville earlier this year. Kind of maybe a low point for them after they left here. They had their bye week. They got really hot after that. When you're looking at them on tape this last month or so, how do they look different than what you saw that day?
You know, I don't think they look any different. I'll say this. We knew going into that game that they were a very talented team. I got a lot of good friends on that staff, and they do a great job. The thing that I'm seeing now is that those guys, they're embracing the process, right? They're starting to trust exactly what their coaches have provided for them. That's a very talented team. Those guys, they play hard, they play fast, they play physical, they're aggressive, and then on top of that, they have belief in what they're doing. You just don't come back and win the game down 27-0 and find a way to win. So our job is to make sure that we're taking care of our business. If we're taking care of our business, we'll give ourselves a chance. But this is a great team and a great opponent that we will be playing against.
Coach, we've talked before about Andy and you and how you guys make the opening script. How much of an advantage is it for the other side to know exactly how that process works?
You know what? I think there's a little game of chess and cat and mouse that goes on with that. And, I mean, you think about it. Doug kind of one-upped us and got the onside kick in the first game. So there's always a little game of that. But the thing is, we just got to make sure that we stay in tune to what needs to be done from our perspective. We know exactly what they're going to do. And obviously, they'll have a wrinkle or two. Mike Caldwell, who's a former teammate of mine, he's a brilliant mind, an outstanding coach, and he's done a great job. He's doing a great job of putting those guys in positions to make plays, and they're doing a hell of a job. So at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about what they do. It's about what we do as an offense and making sure that we can go out and execute our plan.
Eric, do you feel like you guys have more to present in the opposition from an offensive line standpoint, given that this is the second time that this group is going to go through the postseason together, or at least start a postseason together? Do you feel like there are more things, I guess, available to the offense because the offensive line has just had more games together?
You know what? That's kind of a tricky question. I'll say this. We always want to do what our guys can do. Our offensive line, in my opinion, they played a damn good game against the Raiders. They're doing an outstanding job, but I don't want to take away any success that defensive line has earned. Last week, I thought those guys, in my opinion, they won that game. You know, that defensive front took over, and they did an outstanding job in the second half of that football game. Obviously, I thought they did a heck of a job in the first half, but they did an outstanding job in the second half. Our guys just got to go out there and be who they are. We got to remain poised. We got to play it one play at a time and do what we're expected to do. So we don't need to change anything. We just need to go out there and be ourselves and have fun doing it.
There's so much of a discussion here about getting the quarterback in rhythm as quickly as you can in the game. Obviously, one of this magnitude, but obviously, Pat's been through this before. But you have guys like Kadarius, Isaiah, MVS, Juju. They haven't obviously played in the postseason game in this offense. Has there been a discussion this week about trying to get those other guys in rhythm as quickly as you can, considering obviously how talented your quarterback is?
There's always a discussion about getting those guys going and getting them all in rhythm. But the thing is also, too, we have great leadership. And obviously it starts at the top with our head man. But on top of that, we got some players who have been there and done that. So, yes, we do want to get Pat in rhythm. But one thing, Pat will tell you, he wants to get the O-line in rhythm. Trav will tell you, hell, he wants to get those younger guys in rhythm. So we're relying upon our leadership and getting those guys basically to go out there and relax, remain poised under pressure, and let's just go out there and be ourselves. Play hard, be accountable to one another by playing hard and going out and just being who we are as a team. Is that the alert?
Cole looks like he's probably maybe not going to be available again. I guess the coach said he had a setback a little bit to come back. What's the frustration level or just the difficulty that it's been for the last couple of months of trying to work him back into it and having the setbacks? And what are you missing if you don't have him?
Well, first and foremost, our training room is doing an outstanding job with him. The thing I don't want to do, I don't want to comment on anything because obviously if he's not available, he's not available. So I want the training staff to take care of that. But the kid is a tremendous, talented kid, and he brings a lot to the table. But just like we do with all of our other players, it's our job as coaches to make sure that we're getting the other guys ready to step up and play big in those particular roles. Coach Joe has done a heck of a job with the guys that he has. KT has done a heck of a job. Sky Moore has done a heck of a job. I mean, hell, Juju, Quez, J. Watt, the tight ends are stepping up and our backs are doing a great job. So those guys understand that, hey, when someone's not available, it's all of our chances and all of our opportunities we got to make the most of, meaning we got to go out there and provide some big play material by making something happen with those particular players.
I know you said you want to eliminate distractions. At this time of year, you always get asked about jobs, and we know that you're concentrating on this right now, but you did have an interview last week with the Colts. They tweeted that out. Did the process feel different for you this year than it has in the past? Because I know they had the deal where you got to meet with ownership last year in the offseason. Did it feel any different, any better than it has in past years?
Well, I'll just say this. It's always good to be recognized and always great to have that opportunity. But right now, it's game time. So we'll worry about that when it's time to take care of that. But yes, it's always good to be recognized for that. And yes, do I believe that I'm qualified? Yes, I do. But that's not the issue right now. The issue is making sure that we're taking care of business, that I'm doing my part and being accountable to those guys who's counting on me to be available and be at my best when my best is needed. And
so that is what Eric Bieniemy had to say. That is kind of interesting about how Doug Peterson knows how the Chiefs put together their script. Little cat and mouse game. I thought that was telling to see what's going to happen. Maybe that does give the advantage to Doug Peterson, and he knows. A lot of people are talking about this game, and we've even said it yesterday, and this goes back to coaching. If the Chiefs get duped, like by an onside kick or a fake punt or something like that, that is horrific coaching by the Chiefs. You know that they're going to pull all stops. You know that. So be ready for it. Dave Tobe, be ready for it. Have your guys aware every time that there's a punt, be ready for a fake punt. Be ready for an onside kick. If the Chiefs get duped, that is on the Chiefs. Because they've got nothing to hide, nothing to lose, right? It's full go. There's zero pressure on the Jags. They lose by 2. That's why they're going to go for it on every damn fourth down. That's what I would do if I were Doug Peterson.
I'll just say this one thing. We've had these discussions before about teams we think going to be more aggressive than we prepare for. I think the Jags will be a bit more creative. I think we need to pump the brakes a bit on thinking the Jags are all of a sudden going to become the most desperate team in America and never punt. This is the same Jags team that got creative with an onside kick to start a game in Kansas City and then proceeded to punt in their opposing territory. I get the playoffs are different. We have had this discussion numerous times. Do I think the Jags are going to be more creative than normal? Yes, I think they're going to put some new wrinkles out there. Do I think they'll be a bit more aggressive than normal? I think they will. I think we need to pump the brakes on thinking the Jags will all of a sudden become, never punt team. And that all of a sudden we're going to see, the T formation and the wishbone. And
hey, they did. They did.
Listen, they ran out of the T, and that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
That was a great play. Got ETN can move.
That was awesome.
Yeah, but there is no sneaking up now.
No, there's not.
Be ready for it. Coming up, we will get to a little AFC and NFC divisional playoff weaknesses. Everyone loves the list. It's National Museum Day, so we're going to go with a little museum talk. That's right. That's coming up here on Mic'd Up. Up on a Wednesday, a rainy Wednesday afternoon here in the capital city of Kansas, but I'm okay if it's rain because at least it ain't snow here in January. A lot to get to.
No. I'm jumping in here for a minute. Jake sits here and makes the comment of, at least it's raining, it's not snow.
Correct.
Sure, Jake, you can say that.
Yes.
I've also watched you with less rain than this sprint out to your car like you're going to melt with every drop that hits you.
Is it bad? Since when is it negative to not want to be walking around in wet clothes?
No.
Is that a bad thing?
No. My overarching point here is don't act like you're okay with this rain. I've seen you hate your life that it's raining.
Correct. But
don't act like it's okay
no,
for you.
Let's go. I said, and we can roll back the tape. I said, I'm just glad it ain't snowing. Doesn't mean I'm okay with the rain.
Mm-hmm.
What it means is I'm just glad it ain't snowing.
I'm just making sure we're making clear we got the facts out here.
Rain is good during certain times of the day and certain portions of the year. Rain right now is totally fine because it's not snow. Rain in the middle of the afternoon on, in May or June sucks. It's awful. Rain at 1 a.m, any day of the year is totally fine. Let it rain in the evening. Just don't let it rain during the day. Keep me from doing what I want to do. Very simple. I love all the farmers out there. I just don't want it to rain during the day. Just let's rain at night. Let's make it simple. Come on, scientists. Figure out a way. I blame y'all. I'm mad that we haven't figured out teleporting yet.
That's so very complicated. Moving matter from one place to another is like so incredibly complicated. Because most of those are based on the basic principle of quickly breaking down something and moving it to another. You know how hard that is? You know how the reason we haven't done it is the feasibility of it?
Come on, innovators. Somebody out there is way smarter than we are. For real though. My wife is in the startup business. She comes back and tells me, Jake, I am amongst some of the smartest people in the world.
Also, before they get started on teleporting, someone make me a real life working lightsaber. That's what I need first. We need those. If we're going to start going into sci-fi, I have a list of things I want.
One of those should not be, let's bring back the dinosaurs.
No. We have
we have
like 8 films of evidence to say, don't bring back dinosaurs.
Yeah, don't bring back dinosaurs.
Not a good idea. Never happens. I don't care if we can. I don't care if we found out a way to do it. Bring back the dodo. Sure, bring back the dodo. Don't bring back dinosaurs.
Malcolm, what's Dr. Ian Malcolm off the Jurassic Park series? He has one of the greatest quotes, movie quote line, but also in real life is just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like there's so many instances there where it's like, just because you can and you have the ability to doesn't mean you should do it.
Correct.
Did you think about that? No.
Please, no one ever support making dinosaurs real.
No. We got Everyone Loves the List. Speaking of dinosaurs.
Yeah, speaking of dinosaurs, this actually was a great segue.
Speaking of dinosaurs. Today is National Museum Day, or a variation of that. So we are going to go with your favorite museums that you have been to. Favorite museums. We'll get to that coming up for Everyone Loves a List. But right now, we are going to go down the AFC and the NFC and see if we are in lockstep of the biggest weaknesses for the 8 teams in the divisional round. We could do strengths, but it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
For 3 of the 4 teams in the AFC, their strength is Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow.
And then also
that's your strength in the AFC.
And then on that same token, the playoffs is less often about how well do you play to your strength. It's can you overcome your weakness?
Yes.
So this is actually usually the better thing to look at here.
Whereas in the NFC, it's flipped. Eagles, their defense. 49ers, their defense. Cowboys, I don't think they have a great strength, but they also don't have a terrible weakness. And then the Giants, their strength is their running game. Like that is their
Mhm.
strength. It really is. So,
Yeah.
but I want to go with their weaknesses and see if we are on the same page when it comes to weaknesses. All right. So first going to start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. I've got their weakness. The thing that is the biggest concern for me for the Kansas City Chiefs is self-inflicted plays.
I'm 100% lockstep, the exact same wording.
That is my
It's self-inflicted wounds.
biggest weakness. It's nothing on the offense, not the O-line, not the running game, not the passing game, not drop passes. Because last year I might have said drop passes.
Yeah, they
right?
dropped a lot last year.
The pass rush has improved. I think the secondary is okay. But if there's one thing that this team has to avoid, remember, they turned it over in 13 to 14 games this year. When they don't, they curb stomp people. Easy. So it's self-inflicted plays. Alrighty, for the Jags, what's their biggest weakness?
To me, and this sounds like such a weird one, but I kind of think it's, I would put it here. I think it's inexperience.
Okay.
None of those guys have been here before. And that there are people who say, well, that's a good thing. These Jags are not tested for close, gritty battles. Like they're led by a guy who is, but Trevor Lawrence ain't been here at the NFL level. That defense has not had anybody who's been around the block to this kind of, can they compete when the lights are bright? And I'm a little like, yeah, Trevor Lawrence did that in college. And yeah, for one playoff game, they rallied. But thus far, that playoff game started with them, looking awful.
Okay. My biggest weakness for the Jags, it is very, very simple. They have no dudes.
That's fair.
They have no dudes.
Ain't no dudes.
How many all-pro first and second team guys do they have on that team? 0.
For those at home
0.
not watching on our YouTube live stream, I did hold up a 0.
The Jags have 0. All right?
Yeah.
That is
Ain't got no dudes.
a problem. They ain't got no dudes. But not only do they ain't got no dudes, you want to know what's funny? Do you know who else has 0 all-pro first or second teams? The Seahawks don't. Bears don't. Panthers don't. Texans don't. Colts don't. Jags don't. And one other team. Who doesn't have an all-pro? First or second team?
I don't know.
The Bengals.
Really?
If you think about it.
Yeah.
They don't. Now, here's the difference, though. The Bengals.
These are like dudes.
They got dudes.
They actually got dudes who might have been snubbed by the process.
But I don't know about snubbed by the process. It's just Jamar Chase is a dude.
Yeah.
It's just that
he missed time.
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams. Stephon Diggs. Cooper Kupp.
Fair.
Those are also dudes at that same position.
Yeah.
T. Higgins. Also a dude. Jesse Bates, when he's not faking injuries, is a dude. Trey Hendrickson, when he is healthy, is a dude.
Yeah.
So they've got guys, whereas I look at the Jags and I go,
they ain't got one.
Mixon, that guy's a dude. ETN, I wouldn't class. I think he's good. Christian Kirk, I think is good. Josh Allen, the pass rusher, Josh Allen, I think he's good, but he ain't a dude.
Yeah,
he's not that guy where you go, dude.
Yeah, not a game record.
So that's the difference to me with the Jags and the Chiefs. Chiefs have dudes all over the place.
Yeah,
they got Patrick Mahomes. He's a dude. You've got, you wouldn't even go on the offensive line. Joe Tooney, that guy's a dude. Creed Humphrey, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, that's a dude. That's why I just they lack the. Oh my God, I'm worried about that guy. I'm worried about that guy.
That's fair.
So that's why I think that's their biggest weakness right now is they don't have any dudes. They don't got a Keontae Johnson. They ain't got a Jalen Wilson.
Fair.
Okay. Or last night, Jesse Sills. The Bills. What is your thoughts on the Bills' weakness?
Turnovers. They have a propensity to not value the football, and it begins with their quarterback.
The answer that I went with, and this is to me on both sides of the football, is they are inconsistent.
That's also fair.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I agree with you with the turnovers, and that's also to me the inconsistent part.
Yeah,
is
I'm willing to say,
you know,
that can be kind of a subset of inconsistencies.
in the game against the Dolphins, they looked awesome in the first half or
Yeah.
first quarter. I mean, they were cruising right along, and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be great. And then they hit that rough patch. You know, Josh Allen looked great. 352 yards passing, but he threw 2 interceptions. Now, granted, one of those probably wasn't his fault, but they're inconsistent. Same thing with the defensive side. They can look really, really good, but they can be also very, very inconsistent to me. And that's why I go with the Bills as inconsistent. The turnovers are a problem.
Yeah, they don't value the football. Josh Allen is a very good quarterback. He has one gigantic flaw. That man does not know what the value of football is. And I don't get it. I don't get how he hasn't learned it.
Well, he doesn't. He's like that to everyone but the Chiefs.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Do you agree with that?
No, he's like the Chiefs just haven't capitalized.
Okay.
Like, he plays the same way. The Chiefs just have never capitalized on the really bad throws. They've never gotten into the pocket to where he's so... Because that's the thing, like, if the Chiefs could sack Josh Allen more, I bet you they would get a lot more fumble chances out of him. Because that man swings around like a loaf of bread. But the Chiefs just never get home.
Do you realize that the Dolphins... I still have to remember this. The Dolphins had 2 possessions with the football to beat the Bills in the game.
Mm-hmm.
2.
Mm-hmm.
They were down 34-31, and the Bills went 3 and out, and then the Dolphins go 3 and out, but then the Bills go 6 plays punt, and then the Dolphins had another opportunity. They had 2 chances to upset the Bills and win the game.
Correct.
That's where I go inconsistent.
Yeah. You can beat them.
The Bengals. What is their weakness?
Right now, it's the offensive line.
That's what I got too. I don't know if are they going to get healthy or
And even if they're, healthy, how healthy is healthy? Are they all 500%? And even so, that offensive line still has been suspect this year. I really worry about that Bengals offensive line.
Let's see here. This is from, and I'm just this is a quick Twitter search. This is from Marshall Kramsky from WCPO in Cincinnati. It'd be way cooler if it was, a different call sign. Doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan. That's the energy the Bengals O-line has been giving with only 2 regular season starters healthy for the AFC divisional round against the Bills. Does that mean they're going to play, or does it mean they're not healthy? Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I'm with you.
Bengals offensive coordinators is 2 hours ago. Brian Callahan is speaking with reporters at a Sunday's game on the Bengals possibly losing 3 O-linemen this week. There's change involved in it. I wouldn't say it's overly disruptive because those guys know what we're doing and how we're doing it. This is a little bit later. This is so that's my question.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Let's see here. The biggest question about the Bengals-Bills game, Bengals will likely be down 3 offensive line starters, but do the Bills have the guys to exploit that without Von Miller? How about this? With Von Miller, the Bills ranked 4th in the NFL in pressure rate. with 4 or less pass rushers. Since his injury, the Bills are 27th in the NFL in pressure rate with 4 or less pressures.
Changes a lot.
Von Miller, really good. So that is it's the offensive line, and it's that, and those are, to me, if there's one weakness that I'd want to have, it would be the Bills or the Chiefs. In essentially, it's self-inflicted wounds. On the defensive side, it's penalties, that type of thing. Just take care of the football. It's not that difficult. I think the Bengals have, to me, the Jags, and there's a reason why. I mean, the Jags are the worst team left of the 8, and I don't think it's the question. I think Jags, and then I think the Giants. But I think the Giants, they've got at least a couple dudes. So I that's why I'm not. It's not quite any given Sunday coming up on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because the Jags are good enough to win, but I mean, look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers have now shown that if the Chiefs played the Chargers, it would be a closer spread than the Jaguars game. Easily. No question. Coming up next, it's National Museum Day. We're going to go with our favorite museums coming up. Everyone loves the list. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line. Your favorite museums. I think it's National Museum Selfie Day, I believe, which that's a very niche
stupid
day. So I just went with National Museum Day.
Don't take selfies.
All right, now these are the ones that you've been to.
Yes, there are plenty of museums I want to go to that would easily top every single museum on this list, but I haven't been to them, so they cannot be put upon the list. I want to clarify that now, because there'll probably be some that Jake says that I go, I would love to go to that, or you would think it should be on Fulton's. It's not, because Fulton has not been to those.
Oh, are we talking in the third person now?
I guess, for some weird reason. My number 4, the KU Spencer Museum of Art. It's a very nice museum. It's very nice. Some very good pieces in there. I enjoyed it when I went. I had to go for a couple classes. I would go just for fun.
Number 4 for me, it's out in good old Hayes, America. I was blown away by the Sternberg Museum in Hayes. Everything in there is basically from the state of Kansas. So everything that the artifacts in there is from Kansas.
Jake has told me many times to go to the Sternberg Museum.
It's cool. It really
Tells
is.
me all the time.
The museum, Sternberg Museum. Hayes, go.
Number 3 for me, I cannot remember the actual name of this, so I feel very bad about this. There is a very small it's technically a zoo in Wichita, one of these little smaller areas, but it doubles as also like a museum conservatory kind of place where you can like see a few little animals they got. So it's kind of a museum-y place too. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. I haven't been there in a while. That's why I can't remember.
Okay.
But it's a very nice little tiny place. I enjoy it a lot.
Number 3 for me, and I've been to a lot of museums. I've been lucky. But the reason why this is number 3 is I got to have the tour from Bob Kendrick himself, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and the way Bob Kendrick, because actually we kind of butted up and we got so Ryan Howard, Philly guy, right? The big bopper, he was there and we just kind of like tagged along. And so Bob Kendrick was telling everything to Ryan Howard, and we got the same tour that Ryan Howard got. So it was awesome. Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, fantastic.
Still need to go. I don't know why. I'm so surprised I haven't gotten yet.
I know that's honestly, I'm mad at you.
That's fair. Number 2 for me, KU's Natural History Museum. It's a good time. It's right on KU's campus. It's a nice little history museum. It's really great.
We need to broaden out a little bit. Right now, you go to all KU museums.
I did 2
of 3. Number 2 for me, it's in DC. It's the Holocaust Museum. Chilling. But yeah, that one, number 2 for me, the Holocaust Museum.
Number 1 for me is very simple. I went to it last summer when I was down in Oklahoma. We actually crossed the Missouri border for it. I cannot remember the name of the cave, but there's a very large cave system you can tour. That's also a museum. Great. Caves are cool. Toured through the cave, and at the very end, there's a museum of artifacts they all found in the cave you go through. Awesome.
Number 1, and it's not even close. Every single American who was our age should be required to go to it. It's the 9/11 Museum in New York City. I'm not talking about the memorial. Yes, go to that as well. But the museum is incredible. Everyone, if you were alive and you remember it, you need to go. Coming up next, we're going to talk that dumb chant. Go Tires text line. The Great Plains Nature Center with a question mark. It's from the 316.
That might be what I'm thinking of, Texture.
Okay. I don't know.
That might have been what I was thinking.
Never been
of.
there. Brown versus Board site here.
Another thing I need to go see. Yes. Okay. I'm just gonna get way out in front of this because Jake gives me the look every time, and I let me make this very clear. I am a guy who likes history. It is what my degree is in. I like museums. They are a fun way to spend time. I understand there are a lot of well-known museums I have not been to and I should have been. I understand all that. Let me make one thing very clear. I am a guy that at many times just never had chances to go do things either because something comes up and I don't get around to it, or I don't have the money to do the traveling to get to the place. Or, and I'll be brutally honest about this, I'm just a guy that my week is over. I just like to take time to myself. Should I go and do more things and go to these places? Yes, I understand that.
First of all,
I'm just getting out ahead of this.
First of all, let me ask you this question here. And a lot of people have the answer of no to this. So it's not going to stun me. In fact, judging by your previous little history here, I'm expecting a no. Have you been to the World War I Museum in Kansas City?
No.
Okay.
It's also on my list.
Okay.
It's for great things about it.
That one is really good. I did not put that on my list because I wanted to give a little bit more love to Sternberg Museum.
Yeah, some of the others people don't think about.
Yes. But one, Brown versus Board, you need to go to that.
Yes.
That's free.
No, that's free, and also it's here in the capital city. That's a lot easier.
I'm giving you angry eyes right now.
I can tell.
Number two, for a guy who is a baseball nut, and I mean that very respectfully. I hope you understand that.
I know.
You know the game of baseball very, very well. And you have been in the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
I know. That listen, there's a few of these
I'm giving you the angry eye.
There's a few of them I haven't been to that I'm just like, whatever, I'll get there. No, that one I take personally as it's becoming a slight on my character that I have not gotten around to that yet.
Yeah. And then the World War I Museum, which is a surprise, but a lot of people have never been there who live in this area.
Yeah, I would.
You need to check it out. I'm telling you, Fulton, once this busy season gets over with, when
we all have free time again,
we're going to make you. It's going to be homework. We're going to have
listen, when we get through the busy season, what I'm going to start doing is I'll do little live streams in the places where they allow me to record, and I'll just give you guys live commentary of me going through music.
We are going to have, it's going to be called,
everyone will hate it.
We're going to call it, expanding horizons with Fulton Caster.
1 week, it's going to a great museum and learning the history of the world and all these great facets. The very next week, it's Jake forced me to watch Die Hard.
Correct. That is going to be on there. Yes. From the Big O Tires text line, UBU Fulton. No, don't be you Fulton. This is something that you need to do.
Listen, to that texter, I appreciate you telling me. Like, I appreciate that. No, being yourself is always very important. But being me is actually going to museums and liking historical things. I just have to get out more.
Sometimes you being you is not a good thing either.
Because me being me is sitting at home a lot more often because sometimes I like to just chill.
Yeah. You need to do that. Here's what's going to happen. Actually, coming up during a Royals Day game, Fulton, Royals Day game that starts at 1:00. We have a 30-minute show.
We're going to take the show off and we're going to drive to Kansas City.
No, we won't take the show off. I'll do the show. And if you don't go to Kansas City, then you're going to be in trouble. So there we go. That's what we're going to do. Very simple.
Don't tell me twice that you're willing to do the show yourself.
There you go. That'll be you. Here, even better. You go to the museum, and then you go to the Royals game, and then that'll be your job. There's your job for today.
There's my job. My job for the day is go to the Negro Leagues Museum, then afterwards go watch the Royals.
When are the hours for the Negro Leagues baseball museum?
They're not terrible.
10:00. Yes, that's what's happening for one of these days. Royals Day game. You're going to go there, and you're going to be there at 10:00. And you're going to spend 2 hours there until noon, and then you're going to drive to the K. I'm going to force you to do this stuff then.
Please, Jake, force me to do that one.
I can do that.
There's never been a thing you've suggested having me do that I've wanted to do more.
Yes, that also.
That one's easy.
From the Big O Tires text line, the Jazz Museum, which is right next to it, also very good.
I've wanted to go to the Jazz Museum because jazz is really fun.
And you have to watch some HGTV.
I have watched HGTV before.
You didn't know what Fixer Upper was.
Well, okay, no, that's true. I haven't watched. Okay, I watched HGTV.
The fact that you don't know what Fixer Upper is with Chip and Joanna is embarrassing.
Listen, I watched HGTV as a kid because I hung out with my grandma a lot, and she liked
the fact
HGTV.
that you don't know what shiplap is embarrassing.
What is that? What the hell is that?
This is why we got to expand horizons.
Listen, there's no Chip and Joanna Gaines are because when they were guest pickers on College Game Day.
The reason they were guest pickers is because they're famous.
Well, yeah, I discerned that, Jake. I sussed that out.
Let's get to a little Jerome Tang. The more and more I hear Jerome Tang, the more and more what you see him walk the walk, the more and more I absolutely love Jerome Tang. After the game, fans are on the court. It's packed. And they start that dumb chant.
Yeah, they do.
They started Big League Chew. We cannot say what they're saying because I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, we get in a lot of trouble.
But it kind of goes with Big League Chew. Expletive. KU. Tang grabs the mic, hops up on the scores table. I saw this because Dan, who was at the game, tweeted it out, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what's happening? He got on the scores table, and he's got the mic, and I'm thinking, okay, what's happening here? Well, this is what Jerome Tang started to do.
This is not about who we just beat. This is about us winning. KSU. It is amazing what you can accomplish when you do it out of a motive of love and joy and passion. Now, I told y'all, we'll get you one court storming. From here on out, expect to win.
That's my second favorite part. It's the end there when it's like, I told you get one.
You get one.
You get one. This is your one you're allowed.
Expect to win. Changing the culture. But right when he grabs the mic, everyone who is in attendance there, you just got scolded. You just got
Yeah.
yelled at. You just got
Your
put
dad just yelled at you.
You got put in timeout. Listen to the very beginning of this.
This is not about who we just beat. This is about us winning.
Like, he's yelling at you. I hope you
Yeah.
understand that.
He's mad at you.
He is mad at you because you're not listening. And then after the game, this was in the press conference. This was what Jerome Tang had to say about, and he ends it talking about that dumb chant. Here is what Jerome Tang had to say.
Well, I was really disappointed in the introduction when our students started chanting the FKU chant. It's like, crap, I hadn't gotten it across yet, and there's work to be done. And then at the end of the game, when they were on the floor and they started chanting it again, I really want them to understand that, we don't have to degrade the other team. We can dislike them all, but let's cheer for us. Let's just let America hear Kansas State and not hear the other name, whoever, you know what I mean? And so that's all that's about. I believe like we can have a terrific culture here because of the passion of our fans. And, somebody has to say it, right? We just can't that's kids will be kids. That's not, somebody has to say it. And, I if we're losing, then maybe my voice doesn't carry as much weight, but thankfully God's put us on given us this platform. We're winning. It's his platform. And I can speak on some of those things because this is a special place and man, happiness, this is a really special place. And, I want the country to know how special it is, not be known for the dumb chant.
Jerome Tang is trying to do this so diplomatically and so easy way that he's trying not to anger everybody. He's trying not to go all full-fledged dad talking to a toddler because he's trying to change it with, no, he got up on the stand. No, this is what we did. KSU, not the expletive chant. And he tried it. We played the cut the other day. Do it out of love. And he's tried it with the, hey, why are you letting them live in your head rent-free? Every time that you say that, a KU fan deep down inside is like, yeah, we got you.
I can tell you from coming from the other side of the tracks here, every single time a KU fan hears K-State do that at an event that KU is not a part of, it is a raucous amount of laughs of, haha, we live rent-free in your heads. It does not anger any KU fan. Like I said, and I have a different view. Like, I don't laugh at it because I think, oh, KU lives rent-free. I just legitimately find it a little funny. Like, that's my personal perspective. Yeah. But no, KU, like K-State, and I know K-State fans, you probably don't care that it doesn't offend KU people. But I'm telling you the truth. It doesn't offend any KU person when you do it. It makes them go, wow, we live rent-free in your head. I'm not saying that to try and rile any of you up. I am saying that because from my perspective, from what I have experienced being on that side of this thing, that's what they think.
And he's trying to do it the polite way. He's trying to do it the
he's not trying to do it we're going to ban Sandstorm. We're going to ban the Cannonball.
No, he's trying
to do just I'm giving you guys the chance and the power to stop. And we are all for talking about this off the air. And I want to give Dan credit because I think Dan made the greatest analogy. This is your dad saying you don't cuss in his house.
It's so
like that's all he's trying to say. Like, simple. If you're in that building, stop doing it. And the thing is, I don't think Tang is saying if you guys want to be out in Aggieville after the game Taco Lucha
I think
blows up.
No. I think it's all over.
I think it is, but that's where his control or his power.
But that's the difference is if you stop it, then you'll stop it everywhere. And it's he knows that K-State fans strongly dislike, hate KU fans. He knows that. He says in his mention there, he says, we can strongly dislike them, but the fact that you do it and you're not even playing KU. This happened in, you know, I remember it happened in the bowl game down in Houston when they played LSU. What? The KU's not even in the game. It's LSU versus K-State. Like, what are you doing? He's trying to do it so simple, and he's trying to explain it and honestly now, and I'm not here to be the fun police. I'm not. I am pro court storming. Storm all you want. Life is short. Have fun. Now there are, like always, it's not just X and O's. There's a little gray area. If you court storm and you run up on somebody else, they have the right to duff you out.
Shout out guy who body checked Jamari Traylor,
Yes.
who then should have gotten decked by Jamari Traylor.
I have no problem with that. Jamari, stand your ground. Don't run up on him. You're not supposed to be on there. But if you do it right, storm the court, have a good time.
Yeah.
Yes, do it. It's awesome. It's great. I'm not here to be the fun police. It's very, very simple. Tang knows this. He knows those K-State players want to beat KU. He knows the fan base hates KU. But it's to the point now, I don't know any other institution. If Alabama doesn't have a expletive chant against Auburn, if Duke doesn't have an expletive chant against UNC, if Michigan and Ohio State, you don't need that.
And I'll say
it's
this.
getting to the point. It's getting to the point now where it's just it's tacky. It's tacky, and you don't need to do it.
I'm getting it, and then also I want to add this because, like I said, K-State fans, you can do what you want. I have no personal qualms with it. I truly don't. But I also get Tang's perspective on wanting this to stop and wanting this to become about K-State. Because truly, though, K-State fans, forever how much fun and enjoyment you get out of it, how much fun you get ridiculing KU. I get it. I get your point. Tang isn't wrong, though. When that's what happens after you win, when that is the rallying cry, you're not really celebrating your school. You're taking your opportunity, instead of celebrating your school, you're using it to bash someone else.
It's kind of like the overrated chant. It's the
kind of
dumbest
is.
chant ever.
But then I go to this because there are ways to do this and have a rivalry and always make it about your school. Think about Michigan and Ohio State, I think, is a good example. Think about, like, that rivalry is hatred. Like those, like, they refer to them as that school up north. Ohio State does.
They don't write an M.
Yeah, but think about that, though. This is as if Ohio State would ban M's all over campus. 365 all year.
Yeah.
They don't.
They do it for 1 week.
It's 1 week.
And it's
they do the things and cut out the M's, and then after it's over, it's back to, but we're about Ohio State.
And it's not an expletive. It's literally, we cannot play that we cannot do that chant on the air.
We quite literally, we cannot play that chant.
I'm not here to and the reason people do it, it's very, very simple. It's the mob mentality.
Yeah.
It's, what are they going to do? Kick us all out? That's why I didn't know if during the and it wasn't during the game, but it was kind of like it. I said, if the chant breaks out, will Jerome Tang stop and try to and try to stop it? He did. It was at the end of the game. That's when he grabbed the microphone and said this.
Well, this is not about who we just beat. This is about us winning.
Like that, him getting on the mic and screaming that into a microphone and trying to change the chant to KSU. And he says, you know, I haven't come far enough. Like, that's like one of his goals. And kudos to Jerome Tang for taking this on. And if a guy who's got this team, a top 10 team in the country, and you can't listen to him, like, if you can't listen to the coach that has turned everything around in less than 10 months, he's the guy who's doing this, and you're still not going to listen to him? It went from okay to now, like, all right, it's tacky, it's done, it's over. Move
It's
on.
getting to a point, K-State fans, like, you got to make a choice. Do you want to keep other traditions and other great things about your school, which has some great things about it, or do you want to keep one really stupid chant?
And I am not a KU fan. I am not a K-State fan.
As I said, I'm a KU guy who doesn't care.
Yes,
and I mean that wholeheartedly. I don't care.
I went to a Division II school. I am a first-generation Kansan. My parents are not from here. My parents, as most people are, they're big North Dakota State fans. They're both from North Dakota. Okay. I never grew up cheering for KU or K-State. I was that loser who just watched both. Okay. I'll admit I was that loser, right? Pick one side or the other. I'm telling you, from a neutral perspective, it's a bad look. I'm sorry. I get it. You hate K-State or you hate KU. Awesome. Hate whoever you want to hate. Don't give a damn. It's gone now to the point of, come on, grow up, Peter Pan, grow up.
You got your coach telling you to stop.
And you've got grown adults who are like my age doing it.
Yeah.
Grow up. We got a lot to get to coming up in the 2:00 hour. We're going to talk with Kellis Robinett. We will get to a little bit more of the Sunflower Showdown and talk some Chiefs. Hour here on Mic'd Up on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton along with Fulton Caster. We will get to more of the NFC in the divisional round, as we will discuss that much more tomorrow and on Friday. We'll hear from Andy Reid, get the final injury report coming up tomorrow from Big Red. Hear from a few select players as well. Chiefs versus the Jaguars coming up Saturday. You can hear that on the Big 94.5 Country. 2 o'clock pregame coverage, 3:30 kickoff. And the reason why is because we've got K-State Hoops coming up on Saturday. That's right. They take on Texas Tech. And Jerome Tang wants that same energy against Texas Tech. Will he get it? That will be the toughest game for the fans all year, is the game on Saturday against Texas Tech. The good old hangover game. And I'm not talking about the fans, or to the players, I'm talking about the fans when it comes to that. That's the difference there. That team to the east, they do it every single Saturday. And they have been for like 50 years. So keep that in mind. So we got a lot more to get to here on this edition of Mic'd Up in this final hour. But right now we're going to talk all things Sunflower Showdown with the man who was in the building, Kellis Robinett of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star. Follow him on Twitter at Kellis Robinett. Kellis, how are you doing on this Wednesday post Sunflower Showdown? And how great was it that it was a 6 o'clock tip after the game? I was like, man, I'm tired. I need to go to bed. Oh, it's 8:30. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get as much sleep as usual last night. As is, I can't really fathom how late I've been up working. Had that game been an 8 o'clock tip off, and I'm coming home at 2 or 2:30 or whatever. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, doing good. Always fun to see the Octagon of Doom juice like that. And that was honestly, I'm not even exaggerating there at the end. That was probably the loudest I've heard the arena. So great night for the fans.
When did you start this beat? When have you been doing? How long have this has been going on? I'm trying to get a time frame of, if that is the loudest you've heard it, then you've been there for some doozies.
Yeah, so I started in 2009. I wasn't there when Michael Beasley beat Kansas, like for the first time in forever in Bramlage. I imagine it was blowing the roof off the place. But I was there when Jake and Fulton had his 1,000,000 points against Kansas. I was there when Barry Wade beat Kansas. I was there when Kansas State beat Texas when they came to town ranked number 1. That's one of the more underrated atmospheres I've been in at Bramlage. But I think this was a little louder than all of them, even louder than when Cardi had the dunk against KU the last time they beat him. I don't know. There was just a lot of excitement in there when KU started to turn the ball over in that last possession. Yeah, my keyboard was shaking, my ears were hurting. It was loud.
That game, I thought it was drama filled. A lot of people are complaining and crying about, the fouls and how long it took. If that's your takeaway from the game, then there's no hope for you. You just need to stop watching college basketball, because there was a lot of drama in the game. I mean, no one led by, I think, more than 3 the last 8 minutes of the game. I don't care how, fouls and free throws and everything. If your first inclination of that game is, wow, gosh, this is taking forever, then college basketball is not for you.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I don't love seeing that many fouls called, but at the same time, when I went back and rewatched the game, the refs probably let a few potential fouls go. There were a lot of times where players on both sides were hitting the deck trying to get charges, and they called nothing. So they probably showed a little lenience there in not blowing the whistle even more than they did. But yeah, lots of drama. You got Kansas State going up early, Kansas fighting back, and then you got the seesaw battle the rest of the way. Gotta love it.
Were you surprised, and when you look back on the game, that K-State was able to win the game with Marquise Noel scoring essentially 4 points in the entire game?
Yes, that is very surprising. Had you told me beforehand Marquise Noel was only going to score 4 points, I probably would have taken $50 or something, put it on an alternate line for KU to win by 20 or something. I really did not see them even keep the game close if Noel was going to come out and have a dud of a game. But, I mean, hey, props to Desi Sills for coming off the bench and scoring 24. My prediction heading in was that, Noel and Johnson would have to combine for about 50. Well, Sills and Johnson combined for 48. So there you go. Noel struggled against the way KU was defending him. Somebody else steps up. Sign of a good team right there. So, I mean, hey, that's really what the trade-off was. Instead of Sills scoring 4 and Noel scoring 24, they just flipped it. And, you still got to credit Marquise, though, because he made some big plays on offense, on defense, still had 7 assists. Sure wasn't scoring. It's been 2 quiet games in a row from him in a scoring point of view, but he's done some other things. And, that was surprising, definitely.
The alley-oop to Keontae Johnson, what does that say to you? That was the play that they offered up. Now, it was technically not an alley-oop. It was, a read because Jalen Wilson overplayed, spin, go back door, lob it up, catch it, and put it down. But the fact that Jerome Tang calls that play and that's one of the options, what does that tell you about Jerome Tang?
Well, he's got confidence in his players. I'll say that much. This is two straight home games that, I guess they weren't game clinching, but the decisive buckets of the game for Kansas State were both lob dunks from Marquise to Keontae. And really both, when they happened, both plays, I think looked like they weren't going to materialize the way Kansas State wanted to. The one against Oklahoma State seemed like maybe Noel threw it too far. This one, again, he threw it from, well beyond 3-point range. He's just got some incredible precision with those passes, and kind of crazy if you go back throughout the season. Him and Keontae have had just a really good connection on those lob dunks. They had one pretty much from half court against Nebraska, if I'm remembering that right. And that's just one of the things those two guys do. It's kind of wild that they've only played together for 18 games. You'd think they'd have been on the same team for 4 seasons.
We're talking with Kellis Robinett of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star, covers the K-State beat. And staying with the game, is it more about K-State and their way to hang tough against a team that always seems to beat them? And, I went back and looked, and basically any close game between KU and K-State over the last, 10 years has gone to KU. The wins for Kansas State were by 8-9 points where it didn't come down to the very, very end. Whereas 2017, KU wins 90-88, 2017, 74-71, in 18, 73-72, in 20, 62-58 last year. Of course, you got the big comeback. It just seemed as though we've seen this book and we've seen this movie so many times. KU, K-State, most of the time at Bramlage. One of those games was at KU. The Barry Brown missed 3. But most of the time it's at Bramlage. K-State plays them well, but then at the end, they can't finish it off. Does this have a different feel in your mind for this year's team as opposed to, let's call a spade, the Bruce Weber era when all of those games were occurring?
I think you could say a calling card for this team is that they're really skilled at closing out close games. Believe it or not, that was the 4th overtime game that Kansas State has won this season. They're 4-0 in them. When they were in that tournament out in Cayman Islands, they beat Nevada in the semifinals in overtime. People really don't remember that so much. It wasn't even on TV, but they won that one in overtime. Come back and beat West Virginia in overtime to start conference play. Hang on and beat Baylor in overtime in conference play. Then they hang on and do the same thing to Kansas. It's interesting. It's a sign of a good coach, a sign of a good team that they can hang in there and win games like that. And yeah, it's just a sign of the confidence that they're playing with, that they don't fade in these moments. And if I'm KU in the rematch, or if I'm really any team looking to play K-State right now, the way they played on defense in the last minute of games when other teams have to have a basket has been off the charts. They didn't let Kansas even attempt a shot the 2 times they could have won the game last night. If I'm an opposing team seeing that, I'm looking to hopefully beat Kansas State by 5 to 10 and not have it come down to that last minute, because that seems to be where K-State excels.
Kellis, you were part of the very probably small group that purchased Flow Hoops and watched that Nevada game, though. So that's why you're the best. That's why we talk to you, because you purchase, subscriptions to Flow Hoops and watch K-State versus Nevada when we definitely didn't. I promise you that. For K-State's aspect of it, you hold and you beat KU. But KU goes 6 of 29 from deep. A part of me is like, man, you needed to have one of the worst shooting games of KU's season. And I might have to go and look at that. One of the worst 3-point efforts this year from KU, and they still almost found a way to win. Like that. That's why I think this game is more about Kansas State and finding a way to win, as opposed to KU. It's really simple. They had a bad shooting night.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally get it. If you're a KU fan, after watching that game, and you say, you know what, I'm not worried. We'll beat K-State when they come to Allen Fieldhouse. I totally get why you would say that. Really bad shooting night, especially from Grady Dick, who is one of the best 3-point shooters in the entire country. He goes 1 for 8 last night. Jalen Wilson, 3 for 10. DeJuan Harris, 1 for 6. I mean, and not only that, their free throws were bad too. KJ Adams, 5 of 10. Kevin McCullough, 0 for 2. They just missed a lot of points. They left a lot out there. They missed 10 free throws. They shoot 23 threes. They had 3 dudes foul out and still take the game to overtime and lose by 1. If I'm a KU fan looking at that, I'm probably not panicking. Not to take anything away from Kansas State. When a team shoots bad, you can inflate, you can have something to do with that. You can play defense, and I definitely think that Kansas State made KU work a little bit. They didn't have the best ball movement. I think that's why some of their 3-pointers didn't go down. A lot of them weren't just
catch and shoot.
Yeah, there was a lot of, Grady Dick was taking some defended ones from well beyond the 3-point line. So give Kansas State credit, but at the same time, KU's not going to shoot like that every night.
Mm-hmm.
So when they play again, K-State's got to be ready for that.
All right, Kellis, let's get to after the game. Everyone is on the court, happy, celebrating. And then as we found out what Jerome Tang calls it in the postgame press conference, the dumb chant is what he referred to it as. So and I want to get a perspective on this, sitting there, the fans are going crazy. You're sitting there, the media tables and all that. And the chant starts up. Correct me if I'm wrong here. And then that's when Tang grabs the mic and stands up on the table and then says, no, this is what we do. And then he changes the chant to KSU. Do I have my timeline correct?
You do have your timeline correct. But I will say that K-State fans were doing the dumb chant well before the game, up until that point. And K-State coaches were not happy about it. Jerome Tang, when he came out for the first time to shake hands with Bill Self and everything, and he heard the chants, man, I thought he might explode. Every time out, when they heard fans doing it, they had assistant coaches going to midcourt and trying to give the students the signal to stop. They were really unhappy and disappointed about it. That's one of the reasons why Jerome Tang was talking pregame about how he wanted less hatred in this rivalry, more love for the Wildcats, less hate for the Jayhawks. And after the game, I kind of had an eye on Jerome Tang. I didn't know, got done with the handshake line, was yelling and gesturing at Tom Gilbert, their SID, and was saying, "Get me a microphone. I want to talk to everybody." And then that's what he said. Let's make this about us and start chanting KSU. And to his credit, everybody else fell in line right after that. But yeah, it was a whole 2.5 hours of the coaching staff not loving that chant. So I'm kind of impressed that they were able to block that distraction out and still win the game.
It's almost like when he grabbed that mic and stood up on the table. I mean, he got after. I mean, he was yelling. Like, this was like, I kind of liken it to right now. Jerome Tang is trying the nice approach. It's like when I talk to my 2.5-year-old, and yes, I'm calling K-State fans at this point in time 2.5-year-olds when it comes to this chant. Is he's trying to do it like so nice, the as you all know, you're a father of 4 kids, and they were all young toddlers, where you try to divert them, hey, don't yell and scream at them. You try to just change the situation, right? Where he's like, hey, let's do it more about love, and let's make it about K-State instead of just flat out yelling at them. But he kind of did that there when he grabbed the mic, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And that was basically a little bit more aggressive way of saying, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. He was very enthusiastic and kind of said a lot in there, like basically more or less told the fans, all right, cut it out. We won a big game. I don't want to hear any more of that chant. I don't want to see any more court storming. From now on, you treat us like we're we're Duke or something like that, and you expect us to win every single game. I'm not really sure exactly what I think about that just yet. I admire, the stance. I do think that vulgarity should be a little less in college sports than it is. But at the same time, I don't want to have fans, not having as much fun as they can in those games. But he got his point across, and yeah, definitely that's a good comparison with the whole parenting thing.
And I'm with you. I'm not here to be the fun police. Like, I am pro court storming. Storm the court, do whatever you want to.
Agreed.
But if
as long as it's safe.
Yeah, but if you run up on somebody and they decide to turn around and duff you out, I got no problem with that either. Like, there's a little bit of you ready for this? This is a wild take here, Kellis. There's a little nuance to everything, right? I'm pro court storming. Have a good time. It was an awesome game, awesome atmosphere. Go for it. Nobody did anything to a player, so that is fine. Like, I am all for that. Do that. It's terrific. It's fun. But like there's a line in every situation, right? And to me, that chant crosses the line a little bit for a lot of reasons. And so I'm not here, do you think it will? Do you think this will work? Do you think Jerome Tang has enough power and enough pull that he can actually do this?
I think so, at least to quiet it significantly. He did a really nice job during football season, going in there and jumping in the student section and getting him to change the letters around from FKU to KSU, and the fans were more than happy to do that all football season and most of basketball season. But it was, something about KU coming to town that made them revert back to their old ways. And I get it. I was in college once. I've been involved in some chants that involved some not saying words. I totally get it. But when the head coach is coming out and saying, hey, we really absolutely need to stop this, and he's winning games at the rate that Jerome Tang is, I think as time goes on, I think you will see a change. It wasn't going to happen overnight. I know people were disappointed. K-State, administrators and stuff were disappointed. It was as loud as it was last night. But I do think in time, if he keeps winning and everybody keeps buying into what he's doing the way they have, I think next season it'll be quieter, and probably the year after that quieter than that. And, the nice trade-off I would tell fans is that anyone who was upset about losing that, I would say I bet the day that chant goes away, Sandstorm comes back. So that'd be a pretty nice trade in my mind.
All righty, 2 for the road. Last 2 for you, Kellis. What is the percentage that K-State wins the Big 12? Not outright, just if there's a share, 3-way tie, 2-way tie, whatever.
Okay, so they get a ring.
Yeah, yeah.
Form.
Yep.
Yeah. I would say maybe like 20%.
Okay.
I mean, I think the favorites are probably KU and Iowa State. But right behind them, I would put K-State, TCU, and Texas in a group right behind them.
Good news is K-State already has wins over road games Baylor and Texas. So that is a positive. That is a positive.
Still have to go to Lawrence, still have to go to Ames.
Yep.
Still have to play Iowa State at home. But yeah, so they're off to a great start. They're well positioned. I think they're definitely finishing in the top half of the league. First, just might still be a little difficult.
Alrighty, and last one. Will Jerome Tang get a contract extension or a raise after 1 year from Gene Taylor?
I would say yes. Right now, I mean, they won 14 games all of last season. They've already got 16 now, and we're not even to the midpoint in January. We've already seen his name bandied about at other openings. So yeah, I mean, unless something completely crazy happens down the stretch, something completely unforeseen, yeah, I think he does get one of those things.
Kellis, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much for the insight, and enjoy the rest of this week. And hey, you got another home game Saturday. You don't have to travel.
I know. I'm loving it. This has been a great week. Just sit here in Manhattan, not go anywhere. Fortunately, I've got that drive to Ames, Iowa coming up next week. I never love
it. You don't like that drive?
No, it goes on forever. You drive for 6 hours and you get to Des Moines and you're like, okay, I'm there. No, you're still 45 minutes away. It's not much.
That's what I was about to say. Honestly, even I know why Kellis probably hates that drive. There's nothing there. I've driven through that state plenty of times. You see nothing.
But is that better than? But the drive to Lubbock has to stink, or do you fly to Lubbock?
We'll see. Yeah, I fly to Lubbock. That's far enough away. I mean, if Manhattan would fly direct into Ames, I'd probably try that too. But I've always driven, unfortunately. And yes, there's nothing there. Just not. I don't like it.
See, I'm telling Kellis, this is the book you need to write, man. You've been to everywhere. You need to write a book about this kind of stuff. I think people would read it. I do. People love this type of, minutia, if you will. I'm telling you.
How to navigate Big 12 road trips.
Yes.
You might be onto something there.
Yes.
You might be onto something there.
You need to do it. I'd read it. I know Fulton would. I know everybody would. Kellis, thank you for the time, my friend.
Yeah, talk to you next week.
It's Kellis Robinett. I'm telling you, I'd read it. I'd pre-order a copy.
Love that you're surprised why all of a sudden Kellis is like, oh, wow, you hate the drive. Of course.
Bro,
I
drive to Tahlequah 2 times a year.
And listen,
this
brother.
This year I've had to do it 3 times.
And listen, brother, I was a part of one of those. I get the pain. That did suck.
Awful.
I can't imagine driving to Ames. Like, that can't be fun.
Oh, I definitely can. It can't even be worse than driving to Tahlequah.
That did suck. Driving to Tahlequah sucks.
Not fun.
That was not a fun trip. I don't ever want to repeat it again.
Not fun. Coming up next, we'll continue our divisional strengths and weaknesses, this time with the NFC. We'll get to that coming up here on Mic'd Up. Coming up Saturday. I think Saturday's games are kind of the boring ones, to be honest with you. Top seeds, Eagles, Giants,
maybe
Jags, Chiefs, two of the largest spreads, and then Sunday, it's kind of like the appetizer. I'd like to see one of them mixed up a little bit. I wanted to see Cowboys Eagles divisional round. Why couldn't we have gotten that? Thanks a lot, Vikings.
Because the Vikings are the most fraudulent team ever.
They probably are. 13 and 4.
They're
great
losers.
in one. Great in one score games. Except for the one that matters.
Yeah.
But that would have been so much better.
Here's the thing. I'll say this. I think Eagles Giants is going to surprise some people. I think that's going to be a close game. Those Giants are scrappy.
If the first words about a team are they're scrappy, they're
feisty.
It's an uphill battle.
No, that's a team that's going to fight to keep it close. I don't think they'll win. I don't know.
You see what I'm saying? Though, like if the first, when you said about,
I understand
because the first thing you say about the Niners is their defense is legit.
Yeah.
First thing you say about the Chiefs is Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
Yeah.
Right. They got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Right.
No, I understand where you're going with this.
And then you get to the Giants, and you're like, the Giants.
They're scrappy.
Man, they're scrappy.
I'm just telling you.
I know that, but that just...
I know.
I'm going to tell you right now, parlay Chiefs, Giants, or Chiefs, Eagles cover the spread.
Don't do that. Telling you at home to do it.
Chiefs, Eagles, both cover.
Don't do it.
This is the guy who picked KU to win last night.
Shut up. Of course I did. What am I going to do? Not pick KU?
Anytime I get KU basically in a pick 'em, I'm going to take KU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't single me out. Also, do we just need to remember that on that little open and wild card weekend we just had, most of the teams that covered the spread were the dogs?
4 of the 6. 4 of the 6. 2 teams that didn't.
Seahawks didn't cover.
And who else didn't cover? Oh yeah, the Bucks didn't cover. They got trucked.
Oh yeah, the Cowboys covered.
Yeah.
Same. Dogs are 4-2.
Dogs are 4-2.
Jake, don't say it.
No, I was going to tell you but the favorites, they were not Patrick LeVon.
That's true.
Mahomes.
No.
And Jalen Michael Hurts.
I'm finding out how close you were.
See what he's got on Pro Football Reference.
Yep. You were not close.
Alexander.
Yes, Jalen Alexander Hurts.
It was a very generic middle name, though.
To answer a question on the Bigger Tires text line, what's the spread on the Eagles game? 7.5.
Yeah. 8.5 points for the Chiefs, 7.5 for the Eagles. That's why it's kind of like the main course is Sunday, and these two games are the appetizer. That's why I thought Bills. The only thing that I can think of is Fox wanted Bills Bengals, but CBS protected that and said, nope, we get that one. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe I don't know markets, and Philly and New York are the biggest markets, so they wanted to go Philly and New York. I don't know.
I mean, for the most part, usually by this point, CBS gets the AFC and Fox gets the NFC, so I don't think that actually had anything to do with it. Like wild card weekend, I know we can kind of get a little weird. Once we get to the divisional round of the championship games, AFC's on CBS, NFC's on Fox.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
And I mean,
title game.
Yeah, like that's how it always is.
Let's keep with our weaknesses. We went through the weaknesses, both you and I. Some of them are the same.
Yeah.
Actually, the Chiefs and the Bengals were the same.
Yeah.
Bills and Jags, a little different. So biggest weakness. Now, this is a little different, too, because they don't have the quarterbacks of these teams.
Yeah.
That of Allen, Burrow, and Mahomes. So the biggest weakness for the Eagles.
For me, when it comes to the Eagles, it's weird to specify it this much. It's Jalen Hurts' shoulder.
Yes, it's the health of Jalen Hurts.
If Jalen's shoulder is 100% like they're starting to say it is, this Philly team ain't got a lot of weaknesses.
No, they rushed.
They're really damn complete.
Yes.
But if Hurts' shoulder ever, like we kind of saw it in that last game against the Giants, when that shoulder's off, it affects the whole rhythm. So yeah, to me, it's it's the health of Jalen Hurts. Is he truly 100%?
Easily,
because that defense, solid top to bottom, they can run the football real well. I do with you. Right there, I go health of Jalen Hurts. It's kind of the most important thing.
Definitely. I so far, we're 3 out of
we're pretty lockstep here.
3 out of 5 here when it comes to that. All right, let's continue with the Giants. What is their weakness?
I've gone back and forth on whether this is the decision I wanted to go with, and I'm just going to make the decision I'm going with. It's Daniel Jones.
Their defense, it sucks. Their defense is not good. They don't rush the passer that great. They don't defend the pass very well. In fact, they're bottom 5, I think, against the pass. They don't have a defense. They don't have a defense. If you go up against a team that has a good offense, fair. To me, they had the best matchup, the Giants, because you played a team in the Vikings who have the worst defense than the Giants. But this is more of a schedule driven than anything. If you go up against a good offense, they light you up.
Yeah.
You get lit up. I mean, all the way, Lions 31, Cowboys 30. The Eagles put up 48 when Jalen Hurts was healthy.
Yeah.
The Vikings put up 27. The Colts, they stink on offense. They scored 10. So their defense is bad. They got a bad defense.
No, it's fair. For me, it just comes down to in the playoffs at times, especially if it's going to be a close game, you need a quarterback to put you on their back and make plays. I know Daniel Jones has done some nice things this year, and he's been managed well by Brian Daboll. I am terrified if I'm the Giants that I need Daniel Jones to go air me out a pass-only 75-yard drive. You can also chalk in the receiver room as a weakness because they have no receivers. I mean, no bodies. But I'm also clearly fine saying their defense.
All right, 49ers.
I'm going to say this because it's what I have to say for my brand and because I fully believe in it. It's Brock Purdy. They are going to have to get to a point where someone is going to neutralize that running game. And it's going to be on Brock Purdy alone to move that football. And I will be damned if I've seen it yet. Because everyone is fawning over Brock Purdy. And like, oh, got a quarterback controversy. Oh, he looks so good. Oh, he's amazing. Brock Purdy has been asked to do nothing but read the simplest wide open route concepts and throw wide open balls. He has not been asked to lead this team into tough situations. Which, granted, that's how the Niners are designed. They are a run-first football team. That is not... Kyle Shanahan would be stupid to change that. But there's going to be a moment where it's going to be Kyle Shanahan. You can't just run the football with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. You got to tell Brock Purdy, with the ball in your hands, go get me a score in a minute. And I do not believe he can get it done. And I will die on that hill.
He's answered everything thus far. And
cool. He's answered the 4th grade elementary school questions.
Yes. He's a game manager right now. The weakness that I'm going to go with, and it is what the Kansas City Chiefs did to them. It is their pass defense, especially down the field. You saw that with DK Metcalf, but Patrick Mahomes, and I understand Patrick Mahomes is not, you don't go to the Patrick Mahomes tree, to quote the great Ned Yost. I don't go to the quarterback tree and find Patrick Mahomes. But Mahomes, they threw it down the field. They had plays of 34 yards, 27 yards, 57 yards, 45 yards. I mean, Mahomes threw it for a 420. It's their pass defense. That's their weakness. If you give your guy time and you've got a Patrick Mahomes, you can beat them. Like, now, you don't have many Patrick Mahomes. Now,
no.
Dak, if let's say he gets time, because we agree the Cowboys right now are healthy enough. They got some guys at wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb, T.Y. Hilton helps them out.
He's found a nice little role there.
Gallup.
Yep.
If he's got time, then I think he can make the throws. But if he doesn't have time, you ain't gonna but the pass defense for the Niners can be got. They were down to the Seahawks for a reason. So I'm gonna say the pass defense for the Niners.
That's fair.
What about the Cowboys?
Cowboys, weirdly enough, have a similar flaw to a couple of the teams in the AFC. Turnovers. If the Cowboys protect the football, and I cannot believe I'm about to say these words. If the Cowboys protect the football, they could legit make a Super Bowl run. They could do it. They have the pieces. The problem is they have a quarterback who occasionally has moments where he just wants to hand out turnovers like he's at a, dessert party. Like, that's their problem.
For me, the Cowboys are a difficult one because they've got dudes.
Yeah, they do.
CeeDee Lamb is a dude. Mike Parsons is a dude.
Yeah, he is.
But to me, they don't do anything exceptional.
Fair.
But they don't do anything terrible. Their pass rush, it's good because you got Micah Parsons. But if you neutralize Micah Parsons, how does their pass rush? Okay. Their secondary can be good, but they also can be got. Offensively, they can't run the football anymore. They cannot run the football.
Yeah.
But Dak got on a heater. So to me, it's almost very similar to the Bills in that their ceiling is not as high as the Bills, and their floor is a little bit lower. They're very inconsistent to whereas it would not stun me if they get beat by 14 points. I think the Cowboys have the biggest variance of any team left.
I would agree with that because they're a team that I could see lose by 21 to San Francisco this weekend. And like I said, I could also see them show up in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
You could tell me either reality and I'd believe you. Because I don't know what, because like that team that I saw destroy Tampa, and as bad as there's other parts of Tampa, that team that destroyed Tampa, they could run roughshod through the NFC playoffs. But then just, a couple weeks prior, I watched them get destroyed by the Commanders. Like,
I'm with you.
Don't know which one's going to show up.
We'll get a quick timeout. Coming up next, we'll get to a little Sunflower Showdown and the play that will be remembered. The Power of Love. Did you play that for that reason?
I did not, but I was waiting for whatever your Power of Love reference was going to be upon hearing that.
That's a good
I
one.
saw the gears turning, and I was like, "Oh, he's making one."
Yeah, I got something.
I was like, "It's cooking."
That was a good one, though.
That was good.
Out of love, not hate.
So Jerome wants.
I like Jerome Tang.
I do too. God, I like him so much. I knew it was going to be a good hire, but I didn't realize he was going to be this likable. He's just a good guy.
Right now, I think the Sunflower schools have the best 4 coaches they've ever had combined at the same time.
Yeah, if we're putting the weight of all 4 together at once, it's up there. Because Bill is one of the greatest KU's ever had, basketball-wise. I'm probably, what?
One of?
It's got enough history. I don't like blindly saying that without leaving the door open for debates. People got their opinions.
Wait, hold on a second here. It's either Bill or it's Fogg. One of the
I don't
two.
disagree.
And it's Bill.
I'm not disagreeing. Listen, I don't trust the fan base that I'm a part of with absolutes. Because there's weird parts of them that get weird.
Parts of them that get weird?
Yeah, that was not my greatest English.
The answer is Bill. But Bill
Yes, it's Bill. No, you got Bill, who's phenomenal. Jerome Tang is already one of the greatest coaches K-State's had. I think when you just think about what he's turned this into.
Well, the turnaround is great, but you got to have some staying
You
power.
do. Chris Kleiman's done some great things at K-State for football already.
Yeah, like win a Big 12 title.
Yeah. And then Lance Leipold, I mean, I've been a bowl game in 14 years.
I mean, I go back to, Self was there. So you had Self, Mangino, and Bill Snyder.
Yeah, those 3 would have overlapped.
But then you had Woolridge.
Yeah.
Huggy Bear was only there for a year, so that doesn't count.
Was there any overlap with Mangino and Martin?
Well, it would have been 08.
Yeah, I don't think we could have gone that far yet. Because then I think because Mangino left after I think he got the entire 09 season, then he left.
So there was like 1 year
where we had,
Bill,
Snyder, Martin, Bill, and Mangino.
Well, no, that in 09, that wouldn't have been Snyder. That would have been that was the Prince of Darkness.
That would have been Prince. Listen, I wasn't covering K-State then. I wasn't paying attention to what you guys were all doing. So I forget that little.
Yeah, I
forget that dark history that a lot of you would also like to forget happened.
It was only 3 years of history, though, for the K-State.
And I've learned they would rather it not have remembered that it ever happened.
Some power towels out, man.
Power
towel.
I think you're. I think this might actually be it might be a little bit of the stretch with 4 great ones.
I mean, the answer is Bill Snyder from when he was hired in '89, because before that, K-State was trash.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really count. And Glenn Mason, Snyder, Roy. When was Lonnie coaching?
Let's see, was that Lon? If it was Lon, we might be able to allow this one to come through.
That one might be it.
That might be it if it was Lon.
Was that in 1990? When was Mason at KU? Now we're getting crunch time. Here, we're going to have to do the mic drop here at the same time. What's your mic drop? Because we're going a little long here. This has got me interested, though.
It's got us deep in the weeds here. No, Sunflower Showdown was great last night, even with KU losing. It sucks. It's unfortunate, but overall, it was a lot of fun. Let's do it again in 2 weeks, and I hope it's just as fun in Allen.
Drum tag is fantastic. A lob to Keontae Johnson was terrific. Absolutely terrific. A lot to get to coming up tomorrow. We will get to more of the Jags and the Chiefs. We'll talk with Eric Eager of Pro Football Focus. We'll get to a lot of that coming up. But coming up next, we've got 580 Sports Talk.